Yo, yo, yo. What up, peoples? What's going on, guys? Good morning, good morning. Happy flipping Sunday. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope your weekend has been great so far. We're gonna do some video gaming news for today, July 23rd. And then we're gonna jump in and do, I think this is day 17 of Grounded. It's been so off and on. I think we're on day 17. Is that right? Day 18. Day 18 of Grounded. Yesterday was day 17. I'm living in the past. Day 18 of Grounded this morning and or today, and after spending the past 2 days of building, we'll try to dive into some questing and some actually pushing the storyline a bit further. so that'll be the play. Hope you guys are doing well. Let's get in here and start it off with some video gaming news. Cool. Let's do this. Yeah. We'll just keep rocking these tunes for a little bit. We keep them a bit subtle while we tone it down a bit while we look through these articles. I'll kill the music after we start actually getting into these each article, but as we look for articles, I'll keep the music on. All right. We talk about this a lot, why preserving video game history matters. It's probably a great article. Go read it. We talk about it a lot, so it's a very important thing. And it sucks that so many developers are terrible about preserving their own video gaming history. You know, there's some out there that are doing good work, but a lot of them aren't very good at it. Yo, it's random mode time, by the way, as well. Let's go ahead and get that in there. Let's start it off right. Interesting. Amnesia developer is looking to cut back on horror in future games. Okay. I wonder what they're looking to do next. We've talked about this. Yeah, we knew this was coming as well. We've already kind of touched on that previously, so I'm not going to dive into that either. Ubisoft is closing unused, quote, unused accounts and disabling access to purchased games. What? Okay. So we talk about emulators a lot too because they are a big part of gaming. I talk a lot about my stance, so unless somebody prompts me for it, I'm not going to dive in on my stance on emulators. There are good ways in which to use emulators. There are bad ways in which to use emulators, in my opinion. Now, legitimate ways in which to use emulators for modern hardware and software is if you actually already own that hardware and software. And a lot of people emulate Switch games on PC because the Switch is so terribly old. The hardware is very, very old and it's very underpowered. So quite often, you can emulate those games on PC and get a much, much nicer performance out of them. Virtually every game on the Switch, you can get a much better experience emulating it on better hardware, like on a PC. So people do it all the time. Pikmin 4, probably not the greatest example. It's a new game from Nintendo. That's why it's being used as an example. But better examples are games like the Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. Those games, while, I mean, to be fair, what Nintendo has done with those games in making them feel fairly good on the Switch's hardware, is impressive, it's still nothing compared to the experience you can get in those games on modern-esque PC hardware. The hardware on the Switch is mobile technology that is 8 going on 9 years old at this point. It's severely underpowered for modern games. And so most of the time, what is it, like a 720p? I think 720p, 30 frames is usually what you're capping out at. It doesn't feel real great. And even in those games, like the Legend of Zelda games, you'll still find certain areas where you get stutter, you get lag in the frames, stuff like that. So it makes sense that people use emulators to play Nintendo games. Nintendo needs to get a new console out. Starfield free download included in stupidly cheap Amazon bundle. This is probably some kind of AMD purchase, I'm guessing. AMD has collaborated with Microsoft / Bethesda, and so AMD purchases, a lot of the AMD purchases, at least for specific products, are coming with a free Starfield key for the game. So we'll see, but I'm guessing that's what it is. Probably some kind of good deal on Amazon. You'll get the game also with the AMD stuff. We'll see. Wait, what was that? Hold on. Manhunt-inspired game Butcher's Creek announced. Okay, let's see what that is. Look, I've said it before, I've said it again. I've got articles out there on our YouTube page about what Sony's Project Q really is. This is probably going to be a $250 to $300 controller that has a screen on it. It is a remote access. It's not a flippin' handheld. This is not a traditional handheld. It needs to quit being referred to as such. It's not a traditional handheld. This is a remote access device. Meaning that basically what it does is it gives you the ability to mirror your PlayStation 5's output from wherever it's hooked up at in your local network onto this device as well. So you can have your PS5 in your living room. So I'll give you scenario based. Have your PS5 connected to your TV in your living room. And you can be playing a game, and then you want to go, like, maybe lay down in bed or whatever for a little bit. And you want to play some more of the game you're playing while you lay down. You turn on your device, your Project Q, and it basically takes the game's output from where it's currently at, where you were playing in your living room, puts it on that device. You can keep playing it on the device, the Project Q. That's what it is. This is old technology. This is not new. This is new for a lot of the console world because they are just now starting to try to roll it out for some reason. But it's been on the PC side of things for a long time, especially for Steam users. It's called Steam Link. This technology is not new. It's a way that Sony has tried to create a device that they could call a handheld that is not a full-on handheld, and try and get people to pay way more money for technology than they really should be. Really what this is all these console makers should be giving their consumers the quality of life of just remote access to be able to play their games in different areas of their houses or their local area network. That's something that most platforms should be doing nowadays. The technology is old enough. It's easily implemented enough. Steam's been doing it for so long. It used to be hardware, a little hardware box. Now it's an app. It's an app that you can put on anything virtually. And you just can play your Steam games from anywhere where your main PC is to anywhere else in your house where you start that app up at. Or if you still have the hardware for that matter. This is gross. It's just another play from Sony to try to suck as much as they can out of their consumers rather than giving them something nice quality of life wise. Really what they should be doing is they could have still pushed this out as a cool little thing for people to have if people wanted it. But really what they should have done at the same time, at the very least at the same time, if not years ago, was pushed out something more along the lines of what Steam Link is and an app that people could use as a remote play quality of life application, just so people didn't have to move their PS5 big chunky console around to another room if they wanted to play in another room. It's really gross, dude. This is just another example of the disgustingness of the console world, man. Pass. Yeah, I was going to say, someone got GTA 5 running on Switch, and I didn't even read the rest of this first, but I was like, there's no way I would want to play a game like that on the Switch. There's no flipping way. And right here, after it's at a whopping 6 frames per second. No thank you. Nope. I'm guessing there's some other developers out there that could get it to run better. Keep working on it. Even this individual could probably keep working on it, get it to run a little bit better, but it's not going to run great. It just won't. Switch is too old. Yeah, dude, there's a ton of sales on Green Man Gaming right now. A ton of sales. I'm just going to link the site for you guys. We talked about it yesterday. There's a ton of summer sales going on. All the Final Fantasy games. There's just a ton of games that are on sale right now, man. And you can also get, where's it at? They've got a code for people to use on the site as well, which is July 17. It gives you 17% off. It looks like it's for any game that's regular retail price. So if there's a game you want right now and it's not on sale, you can potentially get a sale on that game for 17% off regular retail price. So who knows, man? Might be a time to get some titles off of Green Man Gaming. I'll link this for you guys. There you go. Epic. Also, let's go talk about Epic's got a summer sale going on right now as well. You can see they've got their summer sale popping off. You can take a look. They've got a ton of games. Red Dead Redemption 2, $20. Outlast Trials is on sale. All kinds of stuff. Just go take a look. See what you're interested in. Don't forget to get your free games as well. Murder by Numbers is free, and the Elder Scrolls Online is free right now. Get your free software, guys. Easy, easy. Xbox is getting a bunch of PS1 games. This is because of Ant Online or Ant Arcade. Excuse me. This retro arcade system is that what this is? Oh, in the near future. Yeah, Antstream Arcade. That's what this is. So if you're not familiar with what Antstream Arcade is, we've already touched on this. Antstream Arcade is going to be on the Xbox platform now. And it is its own service. You can pay $30 a year, or you can pay, I think it's $80 US for a lifetime subscription membership to Antstream Arcade. It's roughly 1,400 retro games is what it is. And some, or over 1,300, somewhere between there. 1,300 to 1,400 games from a ton of, old school classic platforms and stuff. So if you're interested in that, go take a look. You can actually, the platform's on PC and stuff too. It's not just on Xbox, but go take a look. Okay, you might be interested. We took a look at this yesterday. Game Pass users are disappointed after major features removed. We'll see what that's about. Yeah, Nintendo's battle against emulators. Nintendo sucks, dude. I'm actually going to pull this up. There was an emulator that was supposed to be coming to Steam. It was an emulator for specifically emulating older Nintendo consoles. I think it was GameCube and Wii. I think that's what it was. I think those were the consoles it was emulating. GameCube and Wii. And Nintendo basically ended up getting a cease and desist order and to keep it off of Steam, sent to Valve and everything. And Nintendo's terrible. You're talking about, you know, the importance of preserving video gaming history. They're the worst about it. They just constantly are removing access to historic, you know, or their older platform titles, and then telling everybody, you know, that they better not access that content anywhere else. And it's like, where else are we supposed to get it? You know, you're removing everybody's ability to access and get that content from you, the developer, of so much of that traditional Nintendo content. And yet, you know, you also are telling us that we're not supposed to be able to access this historical video gaming content through things like an emulator. You know, so taking away our access and then telling us that basically we shouldn't be able to access gaming history either. It's pretty gross, really. It's a bad situation. Nintendo's terrible about it. It's really disgusting. We'll read about this. PS5 sale makes AAA games only $6. Let's see what we got. No way. Raspberry Pi BMO plays games and accepts voice commands. Oh, that's sick, dude. We already talked about this yesterday. Just told you guys about that. Epic Games, go get your free games. We talked about all this yesterday. Fans lose access to classic RPG after it's removed from sale. Did we already talk about this? No, not yet. All right. Let's look at our other search. Yeah, we've already talked about that too. Gamers are furious as the state of gaming collector's editions goes out of control. It's been out of control for a long time. I mean, they're showing the Starfield stuff here, but there are a lot of different terrible situations around it where it's like the collector's editions, you know, it's a rough situation because, I mean, there's a lot of us that are nostalgic. Ooh, sorry. About collecting video gaming content and collectibles, things like that. And there's some bad situations that happen because anytime there's a really historic release for a game, and they have a collector's edition, they're usually limited in number, which means that automatically they get scalped. they get, you know, these scalpers get bots into the action, and they just scoop up all of these, and they just sit on them forever. And or they'll sell them immediately at like double to triple the price, or they'll sit on them for a long time and just wait until the price just gets astronomical because they're limited, and people that because I mean that's demand, right? People that actually want them will pay large money for these things. So there's that bad situation. Then there's also the fact of like, most of the time these collector's editions are you're not really getting your money's worth out of them. Sometimes it might seem worth, but quite often it's just a big racket. But everybody's gonna have their own opinion as to what worth means, because as a collector, that's gonna have a different kind of value to it, right? But we've seen things like these collector's editions of Starfield, for example, are like $300 to $400, I think. And then you've got like Fires of Rubicon for Armored Core 6 that are upwards of like the same price, and some of the stuff in them can be cool, but is it worth that much, really? I don't know. We'll talk about it. Quantum Error reveals tons of cosmic horror gameplay, and it's extensive. I think it's supposed to be extensive new videos. Let's take a look at this. Apparently there's a lot of info out there, a lot of behind the scenes kind of looks at what's going on with Star Wars Outlaws. I'm pretty sure this is Ubi, isn't it? Yeah, this is Ubisoft. Ubi's going to be trying to generate a lot of hype behind this. They're, Star Wars games tend to produce a lot of hype. And Ubisoft needs software to do well. This is what I'll say. I don't know. I can't tell you exactly how many Star Wars games have ever been made, but it's a lot. It's a lot. And the amount of them that are actually truly solid, really good games, it's a handful of them. And, I mean, we even just had a terrible situation in one of the most recent releases that got hyped up really good from oh dude, why am I blanking their name right now? Well, EA was the publisher. Oh dude, it's right on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of it right now. Jesus, it's too early. I haven't had enough coffee, man. Let's look at it. Jedi Survivor was a hot piece of garbage. It was released way too early. It was not ready. Actually terrible on all platforms, performance-wise. Respawn, dude. Respawn. Yeah, I mean, you can look. It's not because of the content's bad. I don't think it's because the performance is so actually terrible. Recent reviews are still 67% positive. You can see 34 hours on record. This was in the past 30 days. Still, it just tons of issues on PC, dude. This is so gross, man. It's so gross. Stutter on a 4090 and 12900K and big FPS drops. You know what I mean? 8 hours in, that's still a thumbs up, dude. With this kind of review, that's terrible, dude. It's terrible. It's terrible. A game should have never been released when it was released, but this is what the gaming industry does, and it's just an example of, you know, this is the second highest selling Star Wars game ever on Steam. Also, they've made a ton of money off this game, even though it's a piece of garbage. It's a horrible thing that happens to us in the gaming industry and as consumers. So I think what I'm trying to get to here with Star Wars Outlaws is what we've seen so far. It looks like it could be promising. The premise is interesting, I think, especially if you're a Star Wars fan. We're also talking about Ubisoft, you know, and Ubi has had their issues over the past few years. They're definitely one of those companies that seems like they have a really tough time doing anything that they haven't done before. Anything outside of like Tom Clancy, Just Dance, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, things of that nature, they seem like they're having a really tough time with. And I hope it's good, but I can't help but, you know, think that there's reason to be weary about a title coming out from Ubisoft that they've never, anything outside of those that I just named or things that they've done in the past that they can show that they've done a good job on. I think there's reason to be weary about what Ubi does right now. And so, I don't know, man. Just hinder expectations, maybe. They're trying to build hype right now about this, you know? But we've been duped by the hype machine so many times. I think that people have to quit letting it happen, you know? We've already got that up. Remnant 2's graphics modes for consoles have been unveiled. Let's take a look at this. Baldur's Gate 3. We might be playing that at the end of the year. Alright, let's dive in here. Go ahead and kill this music. Let's take a look at what we got. Sorry, 1 second, guys. Alright, cool. Let's get in it. So Constellation Edition, man. You guys have probably seen this. We've touched on this. So this is what you get. I think this is like a $300 pack. Well, it'll probably tell us, but you can see you get a steelbook display case for, if this is PC, a game that won't even go in here. Digital game download. See, the Chrono Mark watch, which I don't even know what this actually does in its real world applications, but This is the like case that they made for the watch to go in, a constellation patch, soundtrack, art book, and a skin pack. Past Go gamers are furious as the state of gaming collector's editions goes out of control. When a big game launches, there's almost always an overpriced collector's edition that comes alongside it. These will often contain things like a steelbook, art book, and soundtrack for the game, but other extras seem excessive. They go from the nice but useless, such as pins, stickers, and game cases, to the outright baffling. Whether that's Resident Evil 6's 1.3K full leather replica of Leon's jacket or Dark Souls 3's figurines for £449, gamers have been paying a high price for that for a long time. There are growing trends with collector's editions that show a disappointing pattern for consumers. The first is the release of multiple collector's editions, which confuses players and pushes them to spend more. Take the recent announcement of the Armored Core 6 collector's editions when it comes in at £260. The only thing that the 400 edition has over the 200 one is a case to house your figurine, which makes the 200 one seem better value. Yeah. But it's still an extraordinary amount of money for some extra stickers and a figure that comes with your game. The next is games offering early access to players who pay extra for the standard edition. Yeah, this is absolutely not worth, because how often do games come out that feel like crap anyways? So what's it really matter if you get early access? If a game's just terrible performance-wise, what's it matter if you get early access? You get to be one of the first ones to get in there and go, the game sucks. You know? I mean, Hogwarts Legacy gave you access 3 days early for £10. Then Diablo 4 let you get in 5 days early, but this time 1 in 20. D4 was specifically evil because it started a competition at the time of early access, asking players to race to level 100. Worst of all is the collector's editions that don't even include the game. Mass Effect Andromeda's collector's edition might have come with an RC card, but it did not come with Mass Effect Andromeda. Starfield is doing the same with a premium edition upgrade that doesn't even feature the game, just the extras. It's got to the point where editions are being sold with, quote, contains the game as a selling point. This is because it is no longer seen as expected and instead feels like a bonus, which is disgusting. If it makes money, companies will keep doing this, but it seems that collector's editions are getting less consumer-friendly by the day, as so many other things in the gaming industry as well. These are the kinds of things that I'm also trying to raise awareness about, man. I mean, people have to quit buying into this kind of crap, dude. I mean, this is why it just continues to happen. And things like the sentiment they just stated, it's becoming a standard. Things like this have become a standard because us as the consumer have allowed it to happen. This is what sucks about it. You got collector's editions that don't even come with a game. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy, dude. It's craziness. Quantum Error reveals tons of cosmic horror gameplay and extensive new videos. Today, developer Team Kill Media released brand new gameplay of its cosmic horror game Quantum Error. We get to see combat and exploration in a suitably frozen base on Neptune, infested by all sorts of horrible monsters. Luckily, it appears that we have all sorts of guns and weapons to take them on. The video shows many in action. A second video set in the quantum gravity research floor of an eerie facility is even more extensive, for a total of about 20 minutes of gameplay to enjoy. You can watch both videos below. The second one is 20 minutes. Jeez, dude. Yeah, we'll watch this first one. This is about 5 minutes. Let's watch this and see what's up. Quantum Error. Huh?
Jacob, the lock to this gate appears to be overridden by a nearby power source. You will need to find and disable it to open the gate.
This is actually probably the kind of game you would want to play in third person. Or I would anyways, personally. Dude, he took a ton of hits. And he was down to like a third of health. He got hit a ton. One second, guys, sorry. Sorry, guys, one moment. All right, cool. Sorry. All right. Honestly, it looked real generic to me. I'll be honest. Like it was a short taste of the game, so I mean, who knows? It could have a lot more to it, but it just looked real generic. From things like hitting a chain link fence with an axe and the chain link fence like breaks apart like it's made of wood or something. Like that's weird instead of it like kind of slashing through and then watching the character like kind of rip it so they can go through it or something. You know, to just real kind of generic gunplay and enemy encounters and stuff. And Jesus, he took so many hits before he even had to heal. That was really wild. Um, I don't know if it doesn't have a release date. It's supposed to be coming this year for PS5 and a Series Xbox Series X and S, and PC ports are also planned. So if you want to see more, you can look. They've got a bunch of links. They've got another 16-minute video in here as well. So take a look. It personally just does not look very appealing to me. Remnant 2's graphics modes for consoles have been unveiled. Feisty. Remnant 2 is an upcoming third-person shooter by Gunfire Games with an awful lot of anticipation circling it. Titled as the sequel to Remnant from the Ashes, which was released in 2019 to rave reviews, the developers have just officially announced the various graphics modes that will be usable in Remnant 2 for the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and the relatively light counterpart Xbox Series S. Quality, balance, and performance are three of the graphics modes that will be available on the PS5 and Xbox Series X, with each featuring its own range of benefits. For the Xbox Series S, though, only a standard mode has been made available. Gunfire Games has finally pulled the curtains on the different graphics modes Remnant 2 is going to have upon release. Things don't look too good on the Xbox Series S side of things, given how its frame rate is locked at 30 frames per second for the game. The developers have introduced appreciable flexibility for the PS5 and Series X, bringing three different modes to switch back and forth from. In quality mode, your PS5 can go all out in terms of boosting the graphical quality. This isn't telling us anything specific, though. Smoothness of gameplay serving as the trade-off, though. So basically, quality going to be higher res, lower frames, stuff like that. It also enables VSync for you, which is an optimization feature curated to balance the frames per second on your display. Next up, balance is where you get to enjoy the best of both worlds to a certain extent. In this mode, no end of the spectrum will be prioritized. Instead, the frame rate will be locked at 60 frames to ensure an effortless gameplay experience. This one also has VSync enabled to keep things in order. Finally, performance. All you get is tunnel vision focused on the sheer smoothness of gameplay, which this is one of those kinds of games where you want that, with nothing in between. In doing so, VSync will also be kept toggled off. To address a bit of a hiccup here, though, the official Remnant 2 Twitter handle initially posted an image of the graphics mode that included a questionable bit of info in one corner. It said that the host's frame rate would be capped at 30 frames per second in multiplayer mode, thereby sending quite a shockwave across the community. What? Later on, the developers addressed that this is nothing more than an error on their side, and the host will indeed be able to play at 60 frames in co-op sessions online. Quite the dodge of a bullet with that one, fairly speaking. However, fans are still eager to learn if the devs have anything planned for the Xbox Series S in terms of upscaling the game's graphical capability on the console. Yeah, so we're like 2 days away. Oh, sorry, guys. Whew. Man, I'm on a struggle bus this morning. The game will be releasing for Xbox Series X and S, PS5, and PC while effectively skipping next-gen consoles. Previous-gen consoles. Why are... What? So the Xbox Series X and S and PS5 are current gen. Next gen consoles would be whatever comes next for Xbox and PlayStation. We could probably, it's a safe bet, it would be called like the PlayStation 6 and whatever. Previous gen consoles would have been the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, which is what this is skipping. Previous generation consoles, not next gen. Dude, this is the second time I've read this be written here recently. I don't know why people are getting that wrong. That's not a hard concept to grasp. Um, Interesting. Um, I mean, look, the Xbox Series S is fairly underpowered. It's not a very powerful console. So, does it feel bad for those players on the Series S that they're if they want to play Remnant 2, they're going to be stuck at 30 frames? Yeah. But that's kind of one of those trade-offs you have to understand that you're kind of going to be buying into a little bit with getting in on these consoles at a lower price point. They offer you these different models. Lower price point consoles are usually going to be less powerful, and there's going to be situations where some of these games come out and they're not going to be performance wise on the same level as the versions that get pushed out on other platforms. You know, the better engineered, better hardware versions of other consoles. You know, so I mean, I think the glass is half full here. It's at least it's not a Redfall situation where like all console versions are locked at like 30 frames. You know, it looks like they've got they're giving people options. That's the main thing. That's what I was saying about Redfall is, you know, how do you push out a game and not give people options? You know, it's not like the hardware is not powerful enough on like the Series X and you know, not that Redfall went on PlayStation, but with this title especially, you're talking about PS5, Xbox Series X. This is the way it should be done. They're powerful enough. You should be giving people options. Do you want to, you know, if the player wants to play at a higher resolution, you know, if they want to play at 4K at like 30 frames, you know, they can do that. Give them that option. That's not preferable to me. That's not the way I want to do things, especially not in a shooting game. But, you know, whatever, to each their own. That's the best thing you can do is give people options. So, you know, that would be your quality mode. Then you got balance, which is your middle of the road option there, and then your performance plan is to give people a lower resolution, which would probably be something like 1080p, with a maxed out frame rate, whatever the game can push on those consoles. You know, let's see what Remnant 2's PC graphics modes are. I'm guessing it won't even be capped or anything. I wonder what the let's just look at its requirements though. So PC system requirements, we're talking minimum of a Core i5 7600 or Ryzen 5 2600, 16 gigs of RAM, a NVIDIA 1650 or Radeon 590, and 80 gigs of storage. Recommended, this is really what you should be at least pushing for. Recommended is an i5 10600K or an AMD R5 3600. Memory of, again, 16 gigs of RAM. Graphics, a 2060 from NVIDIA or a Radeon 5700 from AMD. And again, 80 gigs of storage. It's not bad. It's not bad. Okay. I mean, I would say that, like, more than likely, if you're running these recommended settings, you're going to be able to push easy 60 frames at like 1440p. You'll probably be able to push like even 90 to 120. 1440p. You might have to pull down your settings a little bit if you were on like a 2000 series graphics card, I'm guessing, you know. But especially if you're above that, that's going to be a pretty easy thing to probably get done with this game. I'm assuming based on these recommendations here for hardware. But we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, we'll see. So basically we're waiting for the game to drop. So 2 days, the game's going to drop. We're going to give it a couple of days to bake and see how reviews are for it, and we might start playing it here in the community as well. Game Pass users disappointed after major feature is removed. Game Pass is getting worse for some subscribers on Xbox One, Series X, and S, and PC, as one of the subscription service's better features is being removed next month. Game Pass is available in two forms: a standard form that costs $11 a month, and a premium form called Ultimate that runs at $17 a month. For most, these are fair prices, but if you need to buy a few of these subscriptions each month so everyone in your family can game, it can add up quick. This is why Xbox Game Pass has had that friends and family plan, but it's going away. What? They just rolled this out. The feature has been available in preview form to some subscribers, but this preview is coming to an end on August 15th. How do we know this? Because Xbox has been sending emails to those who were participating. Thankfully, this same email notes the feature will return in the future with a global launch. Okay, good. There's no word of when this will happen. Yeah, they rolled this out, what was it, last year in a beta testing phase. It initially rolled out in, I think it was like Ireland and Colombia. And then they rolled it out in a few different areas as well to test it. In other words, families will have to continue to pay quite the fee to have more than one subscription to the service. Responding to the news, Xbox fans over on Reset Era have noted the announcement is disappointing. Thank you for participating in the Xbox Game Pass Friends and Family Preview Program. Been incredible seeing our Game Pass Ultimate members sharing the fun of Game Pass with their friends and family, reads the email. On August 15th, we will be ending the preview as we look to take the learnings from the past several months and investigate building an offer which can launch worldwide in the future. So it's not going away completely. They're just finished with the testing phase, and they're going to be figuring out the best way to implement the actual rollout of it worldwide moving forward. We'll see how that works. I'm sure sooner rather than later. I don't think it's going to take them too long to roll it out, you know. So we had been following this a little bit previously. It feels bad. Nintendo's battle against emulators, the case of it, Dolphin on Steam. This was supposed to be an emulator for the, I think it was the GameCube. It might have been the 3DS or the GameCube and the Wii, but I think it was GameCube and 3DS. Is that what it was? No, it was GameCube and Wii. GameCube and Wii. So this was in the process of being rolled out onto Steam, and then Nintendo, I think, got a cease and desist order to keep it off while they went through some legal proceedings with DMCA and stuff like that. So Dolphin, a well-loved emulator that you can find out there on the internet, allows players to run GameCube and Wii games on modern hardware. It had its store page on Steam raising concerns about its legality and Nintendo's response. Back in March, the surprise release of Dolphin on Steam sparked outrage and led to demands from Nintendo to have the page removed using the DMCA as its rationale. However, Valve was revealed to be the one approaching Nintendo asking whether Dolphin could be released on the platform. Faced with an impossible situation, Dolphin Emulator Project decided to abandon the attempt to release the project on Steam entirely. Legality of emulators has always been a gray area, with developers walking a fine line between preservation and piracy. While emulators themselves are not illegal, using them to run pirated ROMs of classic games raises copyright concerns. So, I talk about this a lot. A broken record, I feel like, man. But if you own First and foremost, emulators are fine as long as you own the hardware and the software. It doesn't matter how old or new the hardware and software is. If you own it outright, there's nothing wrong with emulating it. Many people will emulate Switch hardware and Switch software because it just plays so much better on PC than it will on the Switch, because the Switch's hardware is so stupid old. It's like 8 years old, going on 9 years old. And you just can't get the same kind of performance on Nintendo's console that you can on PC. So many people will emulate games like, The Legend of Zelda, stuff like that on PC through emulators because it just plays so much better. Better resolution, better frame rates, it's smooth as butter. It's much nicer, dude. There's a lot of reasons as to why you would want to play it on something like, PC hardware rather than Switch hardware. And those are two of the main ones. But outside of that, emulators are a fantastic way for us to preserve video gaming history. Many developers, especially many big developers, Nintendo being one of them, is terrible about removing our access to historical gaming content. They do it all the time, and they don't provide us with any way to still access that content. They just completely remove our access to it. And then they basically wave their finger at us and go, don't you dare use emulators to go play any of that content, even though we took away all your legitimate ways to buy it and access it. So what are we supposed to do? Because preserving video gaming history is a very important thing, and it puts the entire industry and us as gaming enthusiasts and game lovers, video game lovers, in a very, very difficult spot. So emulators, in my opinion, are a critical tool for preserving video gaming history. Now, where it's not acceptable is to pirate. If you're just using emulators to pirate modern hardware and software and not trying to, you're trying to circumvent that process of being a healthy part of the video gaming industry, then that sucks. And that's not only illegal, but it sucks that you're stealing from companies. That's what you're doing, right? To be fair, I understand companies have stolen from us, and I rip on it all the time. The problem is, what needs to happen is these companies are making products. These products are broken. So if a company has released broken products in the past, don't buy from them in the future. That's how you address this in the appropriate way. You don't go and do illegal things to steal from them, right? It's that whole like two wrongs don't make a right kind of situation. There are right ways to go about addressing these kinds of situations, and there are wrong ways to do this. Moving on now. In the case of Dolphin, it was accused of breaking Nintendo's encryption for the Wii, using the Wii common key, which was later freely shared across the internet and incorporated into Dolphin's open source code. DEP argues that Dolphin is not primarily designed for circumventing technological measures, but rather to emulate hardware as software, promoting interoperability. They claim that the software falls within exemptions in the DMCA, including the reverse engineering exemption. While Nintendo's response to Valve mentioned the encryption key, it did not specifically state that including it violated U.S. copyright. Nintendo's approach to emulators has been cautious, with no emulator being taken to court thus far. This suggests that Nintendo may not be confident in winning such legal battles, and this is a slippery slope for developers too. We'll talk about it in just a second. The future of emulators like Dolphin remains uncertain, but for now it remains widely available, allowing gamers to access vast libraries of abandoned games without the original hardware. Whether this practice is morally or legally acceptable is the subject of ongoing debate within the gaming community. So, many big developers are afraid to go to war in the legal realm of this situation, of trying to take down emulators, because it is a very, very slippery slope. If they lose, it sets a precedent moving forward that they will not be able to dig their way out of. It sets a standard moving forward that these developers will not be able to dig their way out of, at least not very easily. And that's why these developers don't want to take it into the legal realm. Because if they do lose, and it's quite possible that they would lose, it doesn't give them the ability in the future to have good standing ground to approach any kind of significant matter on this front with a leg to stand on, really. You know, it's a really, really slippery slope for them. Despite the uncertain future surrounding emulators like Dolphin, the debate around their existence and use continues to raise questions about copyright preservation and piracy in the gaming community. Many gamers, emulators serve as a valuable tool for preserving video gaming history, like I just said, and allowing access to classic titles that may no longer be supported on modern platforms. They provide a way for players to experience beloved games from the past without the need for rare and outdated hardware. Moreover, emulators can be a vital source for research, game development, and even educational purposes. Absolutely. On the other hand, game publishers and developers like Nintendo view emulators as potential threats to their profits and intellectual property rights. They argue that unauthorized emulation may encourage players to access copyrighted material illegally, which could undermine sales and the ability to support future game development. Again, yeah, I mean, I know there are a lot of people that resorted to piracy because of what developers have done to us. So, to be fair, one of the reasons that a lot of developers are actually scared is their own fault. There are always going to be people that steal because they can. There are also a lot of people that have started pirating hardware and software in, you know, the form of like emulators and things like that because they've been duped. Because the developers in this industry continue to do this thing where they go hype, 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 you know, and they get people psyched up about games and they drop the game's a hot piece of trash and people feel stolen from. And so people have gotten into this mindset where they go, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not going to put myself in that situation anymore. It's not fair to me. Again, I don't think that's the right way to address it. It wasn't fair developers to do. It's never fair developers to do this to us. There needs to be better regulations on the video gaming industry. As far as them being software developers, because that's what they are they video games? Yeah, it's still software though. And there needs to be standards out there for the quality of how that software should perform on release, because we are just plagued in this industry with software that does not perform appropriately on one platform or another, or all platforms on release. And we can start listing off from the end of last year all the way through this year. There is a long, long, long list of games that have done this that have still made a ton of money. And it's basically just stealing from consumers. It's faulty products. That's not acceptable. There needs to be better regulations about it. But again, two wrongs don't make a right. There needs to be healthier ways to go about addressing these issues and getting this kind of stuff taken care of. But it's been kind of like they did us wrong, we will do them wrong. And then, you know, they're like, well, you can't do that. And we're like, well, you can't do that. You know, it's a bad situation. The legal landscape surrounding emulation remains murky, with outdated copyright laws often failing to address the complexities of digital preservation and technological advancements. While some emulators have been developed for legitimate purposes, others have been used for piracy, leading to confusion and tension within the gaming community. As technology evolves, the gaming industry will continue to grapple with the challenges posed by emulation. The issue highlights the need for a comprehensive and updated legal framework that considers the interests of both content creators and preservationists, striking a balance between the protection of intellectual property and the promotion of gaming history is crucial for fostering a healthy and innovative gaming ecosystem. For now, emulators like Dolphin remain accessible to users, offering a way to relive cherished gaming memories and access forgotten titles, or just play titles that you own to make them perform better because Nintendo took way too long to come out with a new console. However, as legal battles and debates continue, the future of emulation and its impact on the gaming industry remains uncertain. Ultimately, the question of whether emulators are a force for good or ill will persist. That's everything technology-wise. Anytime, basically, mankind, any kind of advancement that we've come up with, there have been people that would use it for good. There have been people that would use it for bad. That is the tale as old as time, dude. And finding a resolution that benefits all stakeholders is essential for the continued growth and progress of the gaming world. It's a good article. Yeah, we've addressed this a lot, but specifically about the Dolphin stuff, you know, this is a bit of a more recent addressing of what the current situation is and what we're dealing with. And it's not a whole lot of surprise here, you know, but we haven't talked about it in a while, so it's kind of appropriate to address it. PS5 sale makes AAA games only $6 on the PS Store. Looks like we got a big sale. They've got links to trailers and a list of some of the more notable games here. Mortal Kombat 11 is $5. Metro Exodus, $6. Marvel's Avengers, I would just stay away from. $6. This game is going to quit being supported in September. Anyways, it was not a good game to begin with. And Lost in Random, $6. NBA 2K23, $7. Resident Evil 7, $8. Borderlands 3, $8. The Dark Pictures Anthology, House of Ashes, $10. Hot Wheels Unleashed, $10. Resident Evil 2, $10, excuse me. Ghost Runner, $10.50. A Plague Tale Innocence, $11.50. And then acclaimed indies, Cloudpunk, $5. What Remains of Edith Finch, $5. Tesla Grad Remastered, $5. Human Fall Flat, $6. Spirit of the North, just over $6. Carrion, $8. Norco, almost $9. The Ascent, $9. Far Changing Tides, $10. Artful Escape, Night in the Woods, Paradise Killer, Overland, and Mundwan, all $10. So take a look if you're into getting some PlayStation games. Here you go. Get some right there. Check this noise out. Raspberry Pi BMO plays games and accepts voice commands. No flipping way, dude. I need this in my life. I love Adventure Time. It's Raspberry Pi time. Come on and grab your friends. One part of the Pi community we love to see is the side that gets into prop making. Makers have shown over the years some serious creativity when it comes to bringing things into the real world from their favorite media franchises like this Die Hard RFID reader or the Simpsons TV replica. They got links for each of these. Today we're sharing another cool prop creation from a maker known as, dude, I would butcher this name. Using our favorite SBC, he's created a custom BMO game system that doubles as a functional desktop. Yeah, BMO is a character from the Cartoon Network series Adventure Time, which is now on HBO. The BMO gaming system has a Raspberry Pi inside, along with a screen that alternates between BMO faces. Sick, dude. It has a few different features ranging from a working desktop that can be operated using a wireless keyboard and trackpad to video game emulation. Because it's a Raspberry Pi base, you can use a wide variety of emulators with it, like RetroPie or RetroArch. Nice. It also accepts voice commands using speech-to-text software. Yeah, obviously you can see this is a custom shell for the BMO, his BMO. It looks just like the one from the show. This is pretty cool, man, if you guys are interested. Yo, you can create some amazing projects with Raspberry Pi. It's basically a mini computer. It's very easy to build. All kinds of different applications out there that people have developed software for. You just need to do some quick internet searching. Xbox fans lose access to classic RPG after it's removed from sale. We're talking about Enchanted Arms, an RPG that came out in 2006 and wasn't very good, and now has been removed from sale on the Xbox Store. The moment of publishing, none of the implicated parties, the developer From Software, the publisher Ubisoft, or the platform holder Xbox have commented on this situation. If it changes, they'll update us, but apparently this is no longer available on Xbox.
1,000 years ago, golems with almighty powers were created.
Hey, Atsuma, come on, wake up.
Bring on the next opponent.
We're members of a resistance movement.
Two guns for the price of one.
From Software.
Let us fight together.
Look upon my true power and despair.
The Queen of
ice laid waste to Yokohama City.
Time's up, I'm afraid.
Mikado! Toya!
On the quest to rescue civilization, only his power can save us all.
Even with that arm, you're still only human.
Burn everything!
Stop this! Remember who you are!
I'm gonna finish this!
A mere human seeks to stop me?
Buried in his past lies the key to our future.
Atsuma!
It is time for the awakening.
Okay. So apparently this is off of Xbox now. Amnesia developer looks to cut back in on horror in future games. So the developer behind the Amnesia franchise will seemingly be moving away from horror in future games. Frictional games may be straying away from these horror roots soon. In an interview with 80.lv via Eurogamer, creative director Thomas Grip noted the studio plans to cut back a bit on horror to focus on emotional qualities. Unclear if that means they'll be straying away from Amnesia and making a new type of game that isn't focused on spooks. Easy to understand why this genre has worked so well for Frictional for some time. At Frictional, we work... So basically, quote, for future projects, we will cut back a bit on the horror aspects in order to give greater focus on the emotional qualities. Confident these games will still feel like Frictional ones. The immersion, the personal journey, and a holistic vision are what we see as defining traits of a Frictional game, not just horror as such. A lot of other horror games have pulled from Amnesia over time. Games like PT, Outlast, and more all seem to have been influenced by Amnesia's focus on immersing you in the shoes of someone in danger of losing their life to creepy monsters, not allowing you much opportunity to fight back. Huh, interesting. We'll have to see what comes from Frictional then. Ubisoft is closing unused accounts and disabling access to purchased games. The publisher claims this is due to GDPR restrictions. According to a user on Twitter, they received an email from Ubisoft warning that they should not click a link in said email, which would stop the account suspension. The account, including all purchased games, would be inaccessible after a certain period. In response, Ubisoft support Twitter wrote, "We just wanted to chime in that you can avoid the account closure by logging into your account within 30 days. Since receiving the email pictured and selecting the cancel account closure link contained in the email." Previously questioned on this issue, Ubisoft claimed that due to GDPR regulations, the company is required to close inactive accounts to comply with local data protection legislation. Only if we have strong reasons to believe the account in question will remain unused. Ubisoft also claims that it won't delete accounts with purchases attached to it for 4 years, although the above email sent to the user appears to contradict that. The email has further highlighted the issues surrounding DRM and digital games in a digital ecosystem. It's entirely at a company's discretion when they want to terminate an account, with seemingly very little recourse. Also highlights that should a publisher like Ubisoft, who publishes several digital-only titles, decide to pull those titles from sale, even having them in your digital account is not a completely reliable way to preserve them, as accounts can be quickly closed. Yeah, this is one of the big areas that people still have. People that have been very reluctant to convert over to digital libraries. This is one of their big concerns, right? Because you quote unquote you own these games, right? But it's not the same thing as owning them physically with your person, whereas it's on an account that another company basically controls. Yeah. And what happens if they just decide to wipe that account and you go, I can't get in my account. They go, well, you never had one. And then it's going to be like some big rigmarole process of you having to like pull up proof that you have had an account and all this stuff. You know, it's a, you would hope that would never happen, but I'm sure it has. Video Game History Foundation, in partnership with the Software Preservation Network, has recently claimed that 87%. Yeah, we talked about that. I don't know, dude. I mean, it sucks, but it's also, you kind of have to understand in some capacity as well. It's not like, I mean, if you think about a company as big as Ubi, or any company of that stature, anyways, or magnitude, Ubi or EA or that have their own platform, Blizzard, and you know, you think about all the accounts that have ever been made, you know, all the accounts that have ever been made on their platforms, and how much server space that takes. And if you went and took a look at how old some of those accounts are, that like how long they've been, it's been since they've been logged into. There's going to be a point where you know, you'll almost assume that unfortunately maybe that person has passed, or even there could be situations where those individuals will just never access that account for one reason or another ever again. And you have to, it's almost like a business decision, you know. So on the, I mean, I can understand where some of these companies are coming from. I also, I mean, I'm a gamer, dude. I understand. I've lost account information because of certain, you know, different situations, and you know, like server data changing hands between companies and it not getting migrated or whatever, and it feels bad, you know. So I can see both sides of this. I really can. Starfield free download included in stupidly cheap Amazon bundle. There are a large number of gamers who, after being amazed by June's incredible Starfield gameplay deep dive, were dismayed to remember that they didn't actually own a system that could play the game. I should know. I was one of them. Starfield is looking so impressive that it's single-handedly convincing gamers to pick up an Xbox Series X or S. Since Bethesda's open-world RPG definitely isn't coming to PS5 anytime soon, or ever, so many people are so butthurt about this. It's so weird that like this has become such a big deal in the video gaming world now. First party has been a thing for consoles forever. And now all of a sudden people are like throwing fits about it, whether it be Final Fantasy 16's only on PlayStation, or Starfield's only going to be on Xbox and PC. Or it's so weird, dude. Like, I mean, I'm not saying it, you know, I mean, it would definitely feel better if all games were on all platforms, but why all of a sudden is there, or everybody's like, there's a big hubbub about it. Like it hasn't been a thing forever. It's weird. The fact is, PlayStation fans are going to have to make the jump. But if you're make the jump to PC, please get away from the scummy console world, man. Make the jump to PC. But if you're against getting an Xbox, PC is always an option. You're also a weirdo that puts too much stock by what toys you own, but that's an issue for another time. Plenty of Starfield bundles going around at the moment for budding PC gamers looking to build their own system in time for September, with some genuinely great deals that you should check out. None quite match up to an incredible AMD GPU bundle that includes a free copy of Starfield for under £400. Yeah, that's what I figured this was going to be about whenever we found the article. AMD has collaborated with Microsoft and Bethesda to incorporate, or to include Starfield copies with some of their specific hardware purchases. Yeah, that's what I figured this would be. So, as reported by Eurogamer, you can currently nab an RX 6700 XT for £327 from Amazon with a copy of Starfield thrown in. When you consider Starfield on its own is $70, and this bundle is discounted from $400, you got yourself a pretty good bargain. If you're looking to build yourself a shiny new PC or just upgrade a GPU even, you know, it might be worth taking a look at this, okay? Especially if you were planning on buying the game already. All right, last article I have. If anybody has anything to add, let me know. We'll address it before we move on and start playing some Grounded today, okay? Manhunt-inspired game Butcher's Creek announced. A new game inspired by Rockstar Games' Manhunt, Butcher's Creek, has been announced. Rockstar Games is best known for Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption. These two franchises are really the peak of the studio's history. I feel like you got to throw Bully in there too, man. But they also came with a lot of controversy. In GTA, you can violently kill people. It's basically life, dude. You can do everything you can do in life in that game. Rockstar really pushed the envelope with a much more horrific series known as Manhunt, a horror series where players basically star in a snuff film and have to violently murder people in order to survive. Also got its own share of media attention, with politicians like Hillary Clinton claiming the game should be rated adults only. Worst rating a game can get from the ESRB, and it significantly restricts its reach. Although the Manhunt series died out in the late 2000s, Dusk developer David Szymanski has announced a new game called Butcher's Creek that directly cites Manhunt as an inspiration. Butcher's Creek will see you fighting for your life against a gang of killers in gritty environments with everyday objects like hammers and 2x4 planks. To make it all more eerie and brutal, you'll be viewing the game through the lens of a creepy VHS camera. Szymanski noted the game is definitely leaning into the snuff film aesthetic as opposed to being a slasher. There's a bit of a crossover there. Quote, a troubled loner with a hunger for cinematic gore finds himself on the other side of the camera when rumors of authentic snuff videotapes lead him to an abandoned cabin near Butcher's Creek, Pennsylvania, reads a Steam description. What starts as illicit urban exploration quickly becomes a fight for survival when he's captured by a gang of sadistic killers. Now his only option is to pick up an Xbox cutter, a hammer, a pickaxe, or whatever else is at hand and unleash a little video of violence of his own. Due out on Steam next year. Looks to be pretty gnarly. Great word. Likely won't be for those with weak stomachs, as even the screenshots paint a pretty grisly experience. Let's see, is this actually Butcher's Creek? Let's see if this is on Steam already. It looks like it probably is. Yeah, interesting. Don't think they're using UE5 here. But it could be good, dude. It could be good. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It's still got a while before it'll come out, it looks like. So we'll pay attention and see what happens here. That's the jam, baby. That's the news. Let's get this going. All right. You guys rock. Appreciate you. We're going to move on and do some gaming. We'll play day 18 of some Grounded. We've basically just been building the past couple of days, so it'll be nice to hop in here and get moving more towards some story stuff. So we'll have a nice Sunday, play some games, have a good time. Thanks everybody that was part of the news segment. Appreciate you. So if anybody's checking out this content, we got all the previous video gaming news segments. We do it every single day. All the previous segments are on Steam, on Twitch and YouTube and channels, as well as all of our gaming playthroughs that we've done, and funny clips and highlights, and just all the content from the streams that we do 6 days a week. Every day but Wednesday right now. We start off at 6 a.m. CST. We always kick it off with video gaming news before we jump into whatever gaming content we have planned. So if you're enjoying the content that you're being exposed to, come hang out with us, man. We have a good time, and I don't know, need more cool peoples. Come be a part of it, man. If you enjoy video games and you know, you like the content, come hang out with us. Other than that, you guys have a great rest of your Sunday. Hope your weekend's going well. And we'll do it again tomorrow for July 24th edition of Video Gaming News. All right.